Hey, it's Vic, coming to you live from the suburbs this time. Ooh, scary suburbia. Well, let's get right into it, I suppose. So in the last video that I did, I talked about my bad things that I've done, bad qualities, things I don't like about myself, which is like probably confusing if you're like, okay, I thought this was like a creativity channel, like you're trying to inspire people to create. But I think a huge part of creating does come down to mindset. In fact, the only thing really that comes down to creating is mindset. And you don't want to create when you're miserable, when you have a low image of yourself. I think, maybe you can be, Mr. Mark Twain off in the background writing emo poetry, I suppose. But, I think for 99% of us, we'd like to get into creating things because it makes us happy, right? So why not be at your most happiest when you tackle this stuff is what I'm saying. So you've got your list. I don't want to just leave it off on just having a negative Nancy list, but let's talk about how to use that now in order to really show some progress for yourself. So you've got your list of, okay, this is things that I've done, things that are flaws of mine, things I wish I could improve. So what's the productive thing that we can do with that? So my suggestion would be basically okay, now you have a baseline for things that you can work on in order to really start showing progress, especially if you come from the school of thought of I don't know what to do with my life. That's fair. There's so many points at my life where I've felt like that. But if you don't really know what to do with your life, make that list of things okay, I'm not happy with this, or man, I remember doing this, and it didn't make me feel very good. It made I regretted it. I felt guilty about it. Cool. Okay. Now, guilt is never a thing that you should want to walk around with. It does you no good, and it's just a real low vibration type of feeling. Once you have that list, though, you get okay, here's the blueprint of okay, if I have no direction, now I kind of do. Because guess what? Once you start really thinking about these things, say your flaws, oh shit, I have something to work on now. I have a direction to head in. But B, the things that you've done that you regret are now the thing that it's I was going to say now once you accept it first, it's you take responsibility for the things that you've done. Once you have done that, now you're really sitting on a treasure trove of things that you can work on. So the thing about me, for example, is that I was never really good at losing, which is funny because that's all I did. I was just never shown the way until I was coached through it to really just start to dissect these things and learn from them, And me personally, I got a lot of the guidance and stuff, from my coach. This is my fiance's dad, this is Albert Lopez. You're welcome to check him out, of course. So once I started to learning how to dissect, learning how to dissect, just taking responsibility and fixing yourself. And now we started having a direction to actually go into really trying to improve and make progress and change your life. So back to square one. Okay, now it's okay, Vic, cool. I've taken responsibility for everything I've done, good and bad. I have my list of things that I want to work on and things that don't make me happy about myself. Okay, now I know where to go. Where do I start? What do I do? What you do now is you take that list, and what you want to do is you want to build the discipline to tackle those things. That way you start building confidence in yourself. Because here's essentially how this all works. So when you don't have a very high image of yourself, when you don't have any love for yourself, it usually stems from insecurity and lack of confidence in these types of things. There's a huge disconnect basically between the type of person that you currently are right now and the type of person that you really want to be, the one that you imagine 10 out of 10 version of you. And especially when you start tackling these things, the gap is so huge, then of course you don't have any confidence in yourself. That's why the easiest way to do that is typically building yourself up in usually the most common way people do it. It's okay, I'm going to build myself up and build my wealth up, or I'm going to build my talents up, That's why you have like rock stars having, you know, a ton of confidence, because they end up becoming like the best of their craft, and they have like a literal metric of success, right? Like they're out selling out shows, like they're basically getting told to their face constantly, like, man, you're the man, or sorry, you're the woman, whatever it is, but like you're the best, I love you, and that stuff will start to stack up for certain. You start seeing like your own like work that you put in start to achieve results of success over and over and over again, then naturally, of course, your confidence starts to build up. So say in that rock star, for example, maybe the rock star has no confidence in like asking girls out. It's a silly example, right? But he becomes a rock star and starts getting like well known for this other area of his life that he put work into, and now he's like talking to all sorts of like he's swimming in girls basically. So just from having like the ethic, the discipline to build themselves up in their talents and stuff, automatically boosts other areas of their life. The only like issue I take with that is that things like that can come and go. So the way that I've tackled it is that there's a way to do it where you don't have to depend on anything. Like, you can build confidence for yourself with literally just 3 things that you can control, which is to say, how early are you waking up? What does your workout look like? What's your exercise level look like? Working out is a huge connection for just general good moods, really, like good energy. But if you stack it consecutively back to back to back to back and see results with it, huge benefit. And then what does your food intake look like? So we'll get into those 3 a little bit deeper. The reason I always will harp on those 3 to build confidence is because they don't really depend on anyone else. So take the rock star thing, for example. Okay, what happens if you're a famous singer and, I don't know, ski accident happens and you crash into a tree with your throat, come off it shaped like a Tom and Jerry cartoon, and suddenly you can't sing anymore, and the doctors tell you that yeah, that's it, man, like you're out and about. Crushing. Very dramatic example, of course, but that's, I think, what I'm trying to say is sometimes we will try to build confidence using our strengths and our talents, but then when we get a big wallop, I think the one I'll always talk about was just like, I thought I was hot shit till I had my dad die, and I wasn't really equipped to handle losses in general. I wasn't really equipped to handle losses in general, but that one was like the biggest. That was like the title fight of losses. So because I didn't know how to handle the small ones, when the big one came, it demolished my confidence for years. And so same with like the rockstar example, it's like, okay, like if you decide that you're going to build confidence using external things, your talents and your strengths, reactions and love from other people, how much money that you get from your job, it's cool, and it could be that works. I mean, I'm sure someone that is watching up to this point, if that's what works for you, you've probably already clicked off and like, yeah, this guy tank top doesn't know what he's talking about. But what's beautiful about the big three, as I like to call them, is that they don't depend on anyone. You don't have to go ask for permission to figure out how early you're going to wake up. You don't have to ask for permission or rely on anything, really. And I mean, except for really extreme situations, of course, but how much food you intake or what type of food that you intake, that's all on you. That's something that's completely in your control. And then 2 is the exercise. Exercise to where your current fitness level is at. So, respect if you're like completely new to fitness and you have no history with it, maybe even years or decades without it. This isn't a video that's going to try to convince you to like, okay, bro, like we're gonna David Goggins in, you're starting, 10 miles every day tomorrow. It's like, no, I mean, that might be a fast recipe to a doctor's stay. But learning to be consistent with those types of things that are completely in your control, like you'll slowly start to get more capable about them. So I know I have a couple of videos really explaining them in depth. And rather than get to, like, I would rather direct you to those, but I'll give you maybe, like, for example, my 3, right, how I handle them right now at my current level. Or maybe I'll handle them first how I started, and then I'll explain them at my current level. You take the wake up time, for example. Originally, like, 7 a.m. was real early to me. If I was out partying or something, usually it was like more closer to 8 or 9. I mean, at one point I had a job that didn't start until 1 p.m. So beautiful, right? Bump that back to like about 6, right? The crack of dawn. And you feel something. There's a certain pride in being able to get up when it's still dark outside. And I've even bumped that up still now to, like, usually now it's like 5:30. And sure enough, if I find myself, like, this is where I'll really start to pull back and go even harder into these, is if I ever notice I'm complaining about how much time I have in the day, or like I don't have enough time for this or that, wake up an extra 10, 20, 30 minutes earlier, and you'll shut that whiny voice right up. So that's kind of how I started and where I'm at with that. With the exercise, for example, that one was basically like, it really just was like, man, I can maybe do like 2 sets of 10 push-ups tops, and then like I just feel like dying. So I did that in the morning, and then in the evening. That's how I started, and then cue that to now, where I still keep that. Now I switched it to burpees even, so now it's even more intensive. And also on top of that, like, I also now have the discipline to follow a gym routine, and none of it was done with the purpose of, like, I need to just get ripped, or lose weight or whatever. Like, certainly helps, though, of course, with confidence, but that wasn't the OG intention. My intention is like, okay, I'm going to go because I want to make progress, because I see the benefits of, like, you slowly improve every week at the gym, and you see your physique start to slowly change, and I gained an appreciation for just showing up, putting in the work, not going too unrealistic with it. Like, I'm not like, okay, bro, like, I'm going to do lifts, extra 50 pounds every week, and then do it with poor form and just rush it and brute force it. It's like, no. Okay. Like, I don't wimp out on it, but I also, like, make sure that, like, okay, is progress happening? Am I seeing changes? Like, am I going with the intention of seeing myself put in that work and try to really transform things? And then same with the food. When I did the food, oh man, if you go watch one of the earlier videos on my channel, it was pretty extreme. It was like a tiny bowl of, like, I need to just purge and get rid of all this nonsense and extra fat. I essentially started off with just eating like a bowl of rice and a bowl of chicken and a bowl of, like, a mixed veggies or something like that. And it was like, they were all like fist size, it was like cups of all 3 things. And I ate that for, like, man, I was so consistent with it that I must have been for sure months. And I not that I recommend you do it that drastically unless you really, really, like, you need a serious change. But going from that, and then there was this whole journey about learning how, macronutrients work, like tracking that kind of stuff, and learning the idea of making sure that you're just getting the proper nutrients, that you're not eating a load of junk. That's how I do it now, is tracking the macronutrients. And it was a whole journey that started from just simply making sure that, like, you can pull back on your food and start to achieve clarity. And when you're starting to be weird and all sorts of funkiness, like, you can pull back even further and even fast if you need to. I've had moments where, like, I'll do like a day fast, not for the health or any possible health benefits or whatever, but just because it makes me very clear. Like, I'm become so hungry that I don't have time to focus on, like, stupid little problems that aren't, like, relevant or aren't just, like, it let me focus on, like, the real meat of whatever I was dealing with. Once you crank up the heat on that and you start to build discipline by consistently sticking to what you say you're going to do, when it comes to those big 3 things, you start to change your mindset in order to be able to tackle that list of yourself that you're kind of like, I don't like this, or I regret doing this. And you start to make peace. And it's something that no one can take away from you, because you have these three things that you are in complete control of that let you build that confidence in yourself. It isn't like, something that's external, like money. Money can disappear. An audience can disappear. But you just relying on what you yourself can do in order to build that discipline is something that no one can take, and you can keep stacking it. You go harder when you need to, and you measure your results over the coming weeks, and you start to see that list of things that was so defeating and scary start to grow smaller. Some of them start to you actually start to learn how to learn from your mistakes, learn from your losses and stuff. The key word, which is really what this should all be about, is just making progress. And so once you start gaining confidence in yourself, oh my God, yeah, I can do these things. Oh my God, yeah, I can learn from, man, if I just kept going, or if I just learned to be more resilient, this would have gone so different. And so through building confidence and through gaining resilience and through gaining discipline, you start to really enter this state of mind where you become just way more at peace with yourself. You're able to really discuss, again, things about yourself openly, where it used to trip you out so much, and you're I don't want to think about it. And when you find that peace where you can start analyzing and dissecting these things, and you can start making progress, the amount of capability that you see for yourself, you start becoming the fucking man, basically. And so now it's not a question of these are all the things about myself I don't like, and I'm gonna go hide. It starts becoming that's who I am. Fuck it, I don't care. I own it. It's me. I'm working on it though. I'm making it better. These are things I don't particularly care for, but I'm not just leaving them be. What the fuck? No, I'm making them better. I'm gonna improve them. I'm gonna improve myself. I'm gonna keep wanting more and more and more and more better things, better version of myself every day. And you start getting yourself hooked up on that. I guess it's like a positive reinforcement almost, of just making progress and getting more discipline at things. And you start stacking it over and over and over again. And you just start wanting more of it. And so once you're in that state of mind where you're in a flow state of no, things, I need to get better. Things need to get better. And I'm going to do more just good for my mindset every day. You start wanting even more of it. And now you're off to the horses, basically. So that was it. I think I just wanted to make a quick little follow through video. Again, I think at the end of that one, I said I wasn't going to do a list of things that I really love about myself. Maybe I will eventually, just not right away. I think for me personally, it would be wise to just keep it a little bit private. I did do it. And it was effective, because now, again, having accepted, everything about myself, and knowing that I'm going to fix it, I'm going to keep working on making things better, it does add a lot of that positive reinforcement type of feeling that I was describing. But I thought that this, which is to say what should you do once you have that list of man, I don't really like this part of myself, or I don't know what to do with the guilt and regret that I carry around, and I don't really know what to do with I don't feel confident in myself. I don't really know where to go or what to do. Here's me saying this is what you should do. Regret, guilt, they're bad things to carry around. You just don't have any benefit in carrying them around. And so the faster you fix things, and the faster you fix yourself to stop doing that and just get over with and start to work towards making progress and bettering yourself, I think the faster you get to getting back to just simple creativity again. It has gotten dark. I'm scared out here now. It's nighttime in the suburbs, but I think that'll do it for this Journal of Quarters. Hope to get more in depth with these kind of these kind of videos in the future. I want to get a little bit more just less yappy, more concise. But again, I didn't want to leave my list hanging. This is exactly what I would do once I have, if I go back and tell myself a younger version of me, like, what do you do once you have that list? It's like, no, this is what you would do. This is how you would actually start to overcome it. Is you build discipline in yourself, which will build confidence in yourself. And so once you have the confidence to do this, the things that you're in control of, that confidence starts to spread to other areas. And then now you can really start to work on making things better. And once you start to work on making other things better, guess what happens to your creativity? It goes up. Because now you believe in yourself way more, especially if you came from a place of, I don't believe in myself at all. So, again, see you in the next one. I'm going to get out of here before like Michael Myers shows up or some shit. So, see ya.